All right, in this video, we're going to be testing the Fuji XT3 and the A6400 to find out which is going to be the better epic handheld B-roll camera. First off, we're going to be shooting on the Fuji XT3. This camera is awesome because it has 4K 60, which the A6400 will do 4K, but it won't do 60 frames per second. It'll only do 60 frames per second in 1080. Both these cameras shoot 1080p at 120 frames per second, so we should be able to get some epic B-roll. I'm out here freezing my butt off in the middle of Utah in these spruce pines to see which one of these cameras is going to be better for some epic B-roll. Okay, so as far as a little bit of the information on these two cameras, the Sony A6400, I'm using the Sony Zeiss lens 16-35. So the combo of this lens and the camera body is going to be about $2,000. Where this one here, I'm using the 18-55 kit lens, which is actually a pretty dang good lens, which puts this one, the Fuji, in at 1,700 bucks. So a little bit less money comparing these two cameras. And as far as spec wise, this one actually beats it out as far as its 4K 60, where this camera doesn't do the 4K 60. Other than that, pretty much the features are all about the same. As far as some of the drawbacks with this camera, I really don't like the button placement for taking pictures. It's just really kind of in an odd angle. I feel like I have to twist my finger back to take a picture. Really isn't a big deal when you're using it for video. All right, so right away, some of the best things I love about this Fuji XT3 are the dials on top. These dials are just awesome. They've got a little button that locks the dial to keep it from moving. It's really quick to check to see your shutter speed, your ISO. They also have this click ring here on the lens to adjust the aperture. So you're able to really manually control that. And I love how it feels in my hand as far as shooting. I can really hold this camera in a very good angle. I feel like I'm quicker at shooting the B-roll with this. It takes less thinking, which, you know, can actually give you better results if you're not sitting here trying to figure out how to use the camera. This is really easy to use. The menu system, as far as the electronic menu system, is kind of lame. I'm not really big onto that. It does have focus peaking. So when you're using manual focus, you can use a really nice focus peaking and just adjust the ring there on the end of the lens to get the focus. And I would say that's my three favorite things with this camera: the manual controls, the 4K 60, and the focus peaking really allow this to make it a very good B-roll camera. All right, so now it's time to shoot this B-roll sequence with the A6400. And I've done a little bit of B-roll with this one already yesterday, and really like it. It fits really well. The biggest drawback is it doesn't have the 4K 60, so the 60 frames per second are all going to be shot in 1080, where the XT3 were shot in 4K 60. personally, one of the best things I like about this camera is it's really easy for me to use. I like the menu system. Everybody ramps and raves about how crappy Sony menu systems are. I actually like the menu system. It works really easy for me. I don't have an issue with it. It actually seems relatively close to the way the Canon menu system is. So for me, it's not a struggle. Where the XT3, the menu system kind of sucks. If it weren't for the dials, I'd have a hard time using it. But this one here, the dials on it do work really well, and the menu system is really easy for me to use. Really like the way the screen is. It fits well in my hand. I wish the body was actually just a little bit wider. Another drawback to this camera is the battery life is not very good at all. It goes fast. Same with the XT3. Both the battery life is horrible when it comes to comparing to them like a Canon camera or something like that. You definitely want to get some extra batteries if you're going to shoot with either one of these cameras. All right, so there you have it. We've got the B-roll sequences done in this snowy little setting here in Utah. Now we're going to head into Salt Lake City and get some night shots to see how these do in the low light situations. Okay, so viewing the footage back, I really do think I prefer the Fuji X-T3 compared to the A6400, but they're super, super close. I really like the 4K image coming out of the Sony A6400. I feel like it's really sharp. However, the 1080 I'm not that impressed with. I feel like it's fairly muddy, especially when you shoot it in 120 frames per second. Compared to the 120 frames per second with the Fuji X-T3, shot at 1080, I feel like it's quite a bit better. I feel like it's sharper and you can color grade it a little bit more. I noticed with the A6400 that when I was color grading it, the image really started to fall apart and there wasn't a whole lot I could do with it. But right out of camera, I do think the A6400 looks pretty dang good, especially in 4K. But my personal preference, I think I'm leaning more towards the Fuji. It's hard to say. About ready to get to edit the A6400 and the night shots and kind of compare them a little bit closer. So I'm super curious to find out what you guys think of these two cameras and which image looks better to you, because I really think it comes down to personal preference, but I'd love to hear back from you guys to find out which one you guys like the best. Before we get editing the A6400 night shots, make sure you give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. All right, so something to keep in mind is I have actually never shot with a Fujifilm camera before, so this was my first time. Also, it was actually my second time ever shooting with a Sony camera, and I haven't really ever color graded any of their footage, so I definitely could practice more and get better with both of these cameras, and I think I'd get some better results. So I'm primarily only used to shooting with Canon and or Nikon cameras, so that's what I've primarily been using for the last 5 years or so. But it was pretty exciting to use both of these. I think I really like that Fuji XT3. I just really like the way that it feels. I like the manual controls on top, and I do like the particular color science that Fuji does in it. I think it's pretty cool looking. I also like how sharp it is, especially in the 1080. I feel like it does really well. So if you're thinking of getting either one of these cameras, I don't think you're going to make a mistake either way. Both of these cameras are awesome, and if you liked the way the Fuji looked and you think you might like those manual controls, I think you would love it. Same with the A6400. If you like the way that looked, especially the 4K, if you really need a small compact 4K camera that doesn't cost a whole lot, the A6400 is really cool. And I think that right out of the camera, the image and the colors look pretty dang good. All right, so if you guys liked that kind of hands-on review, make sure you subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for some more camera reviews and tutorials, and we'll see you in the next video.